Alison.
Hi, Leila. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for taking time for the both of us to talk about the method cards. We developed them beginning in 2019. It has gone through many different stages since we started working on them. And it's obviously still ever evolving because that's kind of also how we work. We keep learning and then we try to implement what we've learned into our tools and guides on our website, where we have our method cards. The intention of this deck is that it can help merge the kind of general standard flow of a design process with the process of healthier material vetting and the selecting of healthier products and specifying a final healthier material palette. This deck of cards moves alongside the phases of pre-design. Then we get to schematic design, and then we move into design development and further on into construction documents. And then last but definitely not least, we move into bidding. And along these standard phases of design and construction product, these cards want to help the user merge these two processes together to kind of have the aspect of material health fully embedded in there.
You know, every time we look at this deck, it reminds me of the importance of making good decisions at each point in the design process. So, I mean, I think in that way, these are great prompts for all of us as we move through our own design process. But it also made me think, as you know, we're always at different points in the arc of how we understand material health. And so, you know, I could just be finding out about material health right now, and I could be, you know, in the CD phase of my project. And there would still be things I could learn from these cards and then see, oh, okay, this is what I could do right now in my process just to help me make better decisions in terms of and incorporating material health into my process. It's really that it's useful at any point in the process, I would say.
It even takes us to the post-occupancy evaluation. So it really tries to accompany us throughout the entire process and beyond.
The other thing we were going to say is not only do we have a digital version of the cards, but we also have this handy little deck of cards that you can print out yourself, you know, in your office or wherever you are in the world. So I could go through a couple of these and just talk about how I find them to be useful. So the first one I'm going to look at is in the pre-design process, right, which is really establishing material health priorities for the project. This is the critical part of process. And so as we summarize on the back here, it's like really establishing a clear plan for what you're doing in terms of material health with the entire project team, your client, developer, your project manager, your contractor that's on the team, and the subcontractors as early on in the process as possible. And part of that too, you know, if we look at this schematic design card here, is really setting priorities with your clients. So this is critically important that you get buy-in from your client. Having a client on board when you're making these kinds of decisions is incredibly important. So they're the advocate for the decisions that are being made around material health. And the other thing is, I think, as you're really honing in the design and starting to make some of the decisions that will be installed within the final building, is really to think about, you know, that it's not just you in this process and that we can really learn from the work of others. And so keep up with the education. I think that's also the most important thing. You know, when you set those priorities in the beginning, and when we talk about, for example, the health impacts of certain chemicals, it can be hard to really acquire that knowledge simply. So when you're aware of this kind of information and you can start to make changes in the materials that you install in a building, is a good time to make those decisions, to remove the kind of chemicals that would have been installed if you hadn't made a better decision. So my advice would be to just take it on whenever you can, whenever you're ready, ideally at the beginning, but at any time, I think is important.
You know, part of our work is taking all the information and all the learning that's out there, thankfully, and then squeeze it down into bite sizes. Maybe it is the one aspect, the one card that stands for one point in the project that, you know, if you start there, fantastic. Maybe these cards could also serve as a conversation guide in the beginning with your team. What is it we want to achieve with your client? Which ones of these steps do you really want to make a non-negotiable?
I had this last card, which I really like. It's like, how did we do? This ability to reflect on how we did on a particular project is really helpful for us as we move into the next project.
And I would like to use this card that you just highlighted as a call to our audience, that we learn alongside everybody. And so how do you find these cards? How do you use them? How do you experience them? So any feedback is highly valued and appreciated.
So feel free to let us know how well you're doing, because we want to collect those stories and share them with others.
So please find the method cards on our website under healthymaterialslab.org in the tools and guides section, and let us know how you're using them.